Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We're back in our Old Testament studies in the book of Genesis, chapter 42. If you've been with us the whole time, we've made it at least a chapter a week through there. And if you want to go back and catch up, they're on there too, I think. Chapter 42, in the middle of the story of Joseph. We've came down through the story of Abraham, the story of Isaac, the story of Jacob. Now, Jacob's still around, but boy, he's an old codger now with a whole bunch of grown boys and grandkids. And the story is focused now upon his son Joseph, who was sold into slavery, ended up down in Egypt, stayed in jail for years. Then he becomes like vice president. He's called governor here, but he's second to Pharaoh. And remember, he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. Pharaoh believed it. It was a message from God that there's going to be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. So in these 7 good years, let's store up for the bad years, build silos in all the cities, and when people don't have no food, they can come and get grain that way. So now, well, let's pick up right there in the story. 42:1. Now, when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, "Why do you look one on another?" He said, "Behold, I've heard that there's corn in Egypt. I've been down talking to some of the other old guys and said, we're all complaining there ain't nothing eating. We're all just going to starve to death. But somebody had come back from Egypt and said they got plenty down there. You can go and buy it. And I've heard that." So he told his sons, "You better go. It's a long way to the grocery store anymore, but our shelves are empty up here. But you're going to have to go down into Egypt and bring grain back up here. I've heard there's corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from them, that we may live and not die." And Joseph's 10 brethren, they went down to buy corn in Egypt. Now remember, they think Joseph's dead. These are the 10 guys that sold him into slavery years ago, and they figured he ended up dying down there. Daddy thought an animal had killed him, but his 10 brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, who was the only full brother that Joseph had, remember Jacob had kids by 4 women, but Benjamin and Joseph were the 2 from his beloved Rachel, who she's died along the way too now. But he thinks, Daddy Jacob thinks that Benjamin's the only one that's left. He done lost his favorite Joseph, so now Benjamin's become his favorite, if you would. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, "Lest peradventure mischief befall him. I can't lose this boy too," he says. Now remember, Joseph was like 17 years old when this happened to him, when he got sold off into slavery in Egypt. He's been through all these things we've read about, and he's almost 40 years old now. It's been a long time down there. Lest mischief befall. Verse 5, "And the sons of Israel came to buy corn." They've traveled down to Egypt now. They've showed up to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was governor over the land. He was in charge. And he it was that sold to all the people. So you had to go and see Joseph personally. Here's foreigners coming in to buy grain. They had to go see Joseph. To all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came. And they did what they would do back in that day. You go before a foreign power and you see the fella and you kneel and you bow to him. So they bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Now, remember the Joseph's dream that got him in trouble all them years ago, that got him so mad at him. He dreamed that, remember the moon and the stars, or another dream was the corn shocks would be bowing down to him. And that's the dream's being fulfilled. And they don't know it. They don't know this is Joseph. And Joseph saw his brethren. He knew them, but he made himself strange unto them. He didn't let on who he was. And remember, they ain't seen him 23 years or so now. But he recognizes them. He's just a boy then, but he recognizes them, and he's dressed as an Egyptian, and he's going to be speaking Egyptian and everything to them. So they don't know this is their brother they're bowing down to, and they ain't got a clue. And he said to them, he knew who they was, but he's testing them. I said, "Where'd you come from? Whence come ye?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. They didn't recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them. God brought that back to him, how this all started years ago, and now he's seeing it fulfilled in front of him. And he said unto them, now he knows they're not spies, he knows who they are, but he's going to test them, see. he tells them, says, you're spies. Now, how would you imagine to be back then and you went down to a foreign country, you're going down to buy food and you're foreigners and you're kind of scared about this anyway, and the guy you have to see who's a high muckety-muck in the government accuses you, you're spies. That's why you're down here. You're spies. To see the nakedness of the land are you come. See how bad it is down here. And they said unto him, nay, my Lord, but to buy food are your servants come. We're all one man's sons. We're brothers. We're true men. We're true. We're speaking the truth. Thy servants are no spies. And he said to them, nay, but to see the nakedness of the land are you come. He's talking rough with them. And they said, thy servants are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. We're not spies. And behold, the youngest is this day, there's 10 of us. The youngest one's up there with daddy. And one is not. One's dead. Well, the one whom they thought was not was. He was standing right in front of them. But they didn't know that. They thought he's gone too. And Joseph said unto them, this is it that I spake unto you, saying, you're spies. I'm telling you. But then he says, hereby shall you be proved. I'll give you a chance to prove that you're not. I'll test you. By the life of Pharaoh, you'll not go from hence, except the younger brother come. Now, he said, you've told me you got a younger brother up there. He said, you go back and get him and bring him back down here and prove to me that what you're saying is true, and we'll see how this goes. In fact, he says, send one of you. I'm going to put the rest of you in jail. I'm going to let one of you go up there and get him, come back. If you don't show me that brother, maybe I'll believe you. And let him fetch your brother, and we'll be kept in prison. You'll be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. And he put them all together in ward 3 days. He put all 10 brothers in jail, made them sit there 3 days. He said, well, that's kind of harsh. He was in there for years because of them, remember? He's put them there 3 days to let them think about things, and I think he may have kind of eavesdropped and spied on them, see what they're talking about in there too. Joseph said unto them the 3rd day, this do and live, for I fear God. Now, he told them the truth right there. Here's an Egyptian, as far as they know an Egyptian. He says, I'm a God-fearing man. So they ought to know he's going to deal rightly with them. If you be true men, if you're telling the truth, let one of your brethren be bound. I'll just keep one of you, and I'll let the other 9 go home. Before he was going to keep 9 in jail and let one go. I'll just keep one of you, and he's going to see which one they'd pick and how they'd figure this one out, I guess. Go ye and carry corn for the famine of your houses. Verse 20, but bring your youngest brother unto me. 9 of you can go ahead and carry corn back, but said, if you want this brother here turned loose, whichever one you choose, said, you bring that youngest one that stayed with your daddy up there back, that I can see him. And I'll know you're telling the truth. So shall your words be verified, and you'll not die. And they did so. And then the brothers, verse 21, they said one to another. Now, I think they're out of the presence maybe of Joseph right now. They're talking among themselves, and they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother. All these 23 years here, they've lived with that guilt upon them, eating at them daily, They knew what they did. They were ashamed of it. They'd hid it from their dad, of course, and they've done this to their brother. And probably everything that's happened over the last few years, it's because we treated our brother Joseph that way. We've guilty concerning our brother, and that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we wouldn't hear, we wouldn't listen. Therefore is this distress come upon us. In other words, they're saying, every time something bad happens, I know we're reaping what we've sown. We treated people this way, and now we're being treated this way. And Reuben, the oldest boy, he answered them, saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and you would not hear. See, they're still fighting about something that happened 23 years ago. I tried to tell you not to do that. Remember, Reuben was going to come back and get him out of the pit and turn him loose, but they sold him before Reuben, the oldest one, could get back. He said, I tried to tell you and you wouldn't listen. Therefore, behold, also his blood's required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, so he was in their presence. They didn't think he could understand them, though, because he spake unto them by an interpreter. See, he spake Hebrew fluently like they did, but he's been in Egypt all these years, so he's trying to disguise himself to his brothers. So, of course, he's speaking his second language now, Egyptian, through the interpreter, and then they'll speak Hebrew. Joseph don't even need an interpreter. He knows everything's being said. But they don't know that. They think, well, he can't understand our language. He's speaking by this interpreter. And he turned himself about from them, and Joseph, he wept. He was very emotional. He didn't want them to see him crying and wonder why. And he returned to them again. He came back and communed with them, and he took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes. So Simeon's the one that's going to get held in jail while they're all gone back, and supposedly to bring their younger brother back if they're speaking the truth. And Joseph knows they are. He knows the story. So Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn. Got the other 9 here, I guess. And to restore every man's money. He told somebody, says, now put their corn back so they can take it home. And says, down in that corn sack, put their money back in there too. I'm not going to take their money. But they didn't know that. And to give them provision for the way, give them something to eat along the way. And thus he did unto them. And they laded their asses. They got everything on the pack saddles and with the corn, and they departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass, to feed his donkey, to give his ass provender at the inn, they made the first night they're going to stay somewhere. He opened up the sack, going to feed his animal something, and he looked and he espied his money. Normally that'd be a good thing, maybe. What would you do if you got home from the grocery store and you look, unloading the bags and look, and there was your money in the bottom of there because the grocer would give you money back to you. But that scared them to death. They said, uh-oh, what's going on here? He espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said to his brethren, my money's restored, and it's even here in my sack. And their heart failed them. I guess they thought they'd been set up. Somebody's going to come and kill us now. They were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God's done to us? See, every time something goes wrong, these brothers for all these years in their guilt have thought, God's mad at us. God's mad at us. And they came to Jacob their father to the land of Canaan. And they told him all that befell them, saying, the man who's the Lord of the land, he spake roughly to us. And he took us to be spies of the country. And we said to him, we're true men. We're speaking the truth. We're no spies. He's reiterating the story to Daddy now, Jacob. We be 12 brethren, sons of our fathers, what we told him. One's not, the youngest this day with their father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said to us, hereby shall I know that you're true men, that you're speaking the truth. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. Now here's what they hated to tell Daddy, Jacob. Bring your youngest brother back to me. He wouldn't even let Benjamin go with them the first time. He remembered what happened to Joseph all them years ago, didn't he? Then shall I know that you're no spies, but that you're true men. So I'll deliver you your brother, and you shall traffic in the land. Everything will be all right, and you bring that younger boy back. 35. So now they're back home. They're all emptying their sacks. It came to pass as they emptied their sacks, maybe they're pouring out to whatever they're keeping all the corn in, and not only corn falls out of every one of them, but silver falls out of them. Behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. And Jacob their father said to them, me have you bereaved of my children? You've bereaved me of my children, you boys have. Joseph's not. He's been gone all these years because he's supposed to take lunch out to you boys in the field. And now Simeon's gone too. Remember, he's sitting in jail in Egypt. And then he makes a decision. You're not taking Benjamin away. All these things are against me. And Reuben spake to his father. Remember, Reuben, the oldest one. Usually the wisest one when they speak. He's the representative. He tries to tell Daddy, says, well, if we don't bring Benjamin back, you can kill my boys. I got 2 sons. Reuben, that was a stupid thing to say, wasn't it? Reuben's trying to convince him, though, that we got to take Benjamin back down there. If I bring him not to thee, deliver him into my hand, I'll bring him again to thee. And Jacob, verse 38, said, my son will not go down with you, for his brother's dead, and he's the last one me and Rachel had. He's left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which you go, then you'll bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. It's almost like Jacob saying, bye-bye, Simeon. You ain't getting Benjamin. Sorry, Simeon. He's probably dead anyway, but you ain't taking Benjamin back down there. Remember, all this started with their sin long ago. And all this stuff is swirling and going on. And every time something bad happens, they think, but God's mad at me. We're reaping what we sow. That is a true principle, and they knew it. But you know what? God's not mad at you. God loves you. And he sent his son to pay for your sins. Just claim that. See you next week.